Service rushing around trying to get dignitaries and important people out of the room. Everyone was immediately hit the floor. I looked up and saw the Secret Service then escorting out key members of the cabinet. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I saw them escorting out Secretary Marco Rubio right next to me. You can see members of the Secret Service jumping from chair to chair, trying to get to the front of the room, escorting everyone out. The room is still packed. We have not been evacuated yet. We're told that the program is expected to resume soon. And last we heard, the president was still here inside the Washington Hilton following this very concerning incident.
Okay, after this concerning incident, the president is okay.
Oh, what we do know, Allison, is that the president is still in the room, in the hotel, and that he was escorted out by the Secret Service.
Continue to follow developments on the story. I'm Allison Cossack in New York. We'll be back with more.
This has been.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to that, fam. So as you just heard the news, fam, there was some shots fired at the White House Correspondents Dinner where Donald Trump had to be evacuated. He, along with his mistress, not his mistress, First Lady, what's her name? Melania. Yeah, her. Yeah, he was with her. So yeah, they had to be evacuated. And so the shooter has been shot. He's been killed. He missed again. He missed. Amateur night, man. Amateur night. I've seen better amateurs at the Apollo. Yeah, man. They missed again. They missed again. But was it really an attempt, right? Because remember, Trump was boycotting the White House Correspondents Dinner. He had been boycotting. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he decides he's going to go to one. And the one that he decides to go to, there's another attempt, allegedly, on his life. I don't know, fam. I don't know if I'm buying it, man. I don't even know if I'm buying this one, man, because it's always something. It's always something. I'm not sure if I'm buying it. Not sure at all. I'm not sure if I'm buying it. These guys continue to miss. Miss. How many times? How many attempts is that? Allegedly, how many attempts is that? That's what? At least 4 attempts. At least 4. Somebody. I don't know, fam. Can't just say anything. You got to be careful with this type of stuff because we do not want our president to end up shot. We don't want nothing to happen to our president. Let's pray. Let us pray for him right now. Lord, I humbly come to you as your faithful servant, asking you to shine your little light on God himself. Donald Trump. Is that a conflict of interest? I'm only saying God, because that's how these MAGA people treat him, like he's a god. And remember, he depicted himself as Jesus himself, laying hands on Epstein, trying to bring him back to life and stuff. So I'm only saying that for that reason. But let us continue with the prayer. Lord, let any bullet with Trump's name on it go around him and hit his enemy. Whoever his enemies may be, let the bullet hit his enemies and not him. Because Donald Trump is too valuable for America. We cannot afford to lose him. We know that he's 79 years old and he has a bad diet. We know that he's overweight. We know that he likes to eat greasy foods. But Lord, if you find it in your heart to just spare him, we'd really appreciate it. Because I don't know what we're going to do in America without Donald Trump. I don't know how we're going to make it. Donald Trump is the greatest thing that has ever happened to us, Lord. And we're going to need him to see us through these troubling times. We are facing some troubling, some very difficult, one might even say unknown times. So please, Lord, protect Donald Trump. If you don't, there'll be a lot of people in the comment section right now who's going to be upset. And we don't want that to happen. In your name, say amen, pray to God, bless, Holy Ghost, be thou, thee, or thee, thou, bam. You know what I'm talking about? That's how you pray. I know some of y'all out there, y'all prayer warriors, y'all kind of smooth with it, boom, 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 real smooth like that with it. No, it don't take all of that. You got to say it from the heart. And y'all, like y'all say it from the heart, everybody got to say it from the heart. So that's what I just did. I said it from the heart the best way that I could. The bottom line is that my prayer reaches the holy ears of God. Me praying the way I pray and you praying the way you pray ain't going to make one or the others less effective. This is wild. That's what's going on, though, fam. This is really wild. It's really wild what's happening right now. Trump had to be evacuated from the White House Correspondents Dinner. He and Melania had to be evacuated. They said that the guests hit the floor. In fact, all of the guests had to be evacuated from the Hilton building. So they say the guests hit the floor when they heard the shots, and Trump was whisked away. Now, again, I just find this could be another Epstein distraction as far as I'm concerned. I'm not trusting it, man. I just don't trust anything coming out of that, man. I don't trust it. I think this might be another ruse to get our mind off the Epstein files. It's to get our minds off the Epstein files. That's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm looking for updates right now. Can't find any updates, so I'll give you what I got. Trump was swiftly evacuated from the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday evening after gunshots were heard inside the Washington Hilton. A shooter has been confirmed as dead, and the president was not injured. After shots rang out, Trump was ushered away from the dais inside the ballroom, and attendees took cover under tables. A number of top administration officials were in attendance, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. When the shots rang out, it is said that Marco Rubio screamed, "Mommy!" Did they say? Okay, no, they ain't say he said that. That's just somebody else said that. Okay, here we go. The program will resume shortly, the organizer said. The Hilton, located a short distance away from the White House, is where Donald Trump, President Ronald Reagan, was shot in 1981. So, the Hilton, located a short distance away from the White House, is where President Ronald Reagan was shot. So they shot Ronald Reagan in 81, and they tried to hit up Donald Trump in 2026. What is that? 26, 19, that's 45 years. 45 years later, they try to get Trump. I don't know, fam. I don't believe that many gunmen are missing. I think it was staged. I just don't believe that people who are that determined to shoot somebody gonna miss that many times. I don't believe that. I don't believe you miss that many times. You know, like all the other times, the previous times, the president got hit. If they had at least 2 attempts on their life, they got hit. At least 2, they got hit at least once. He ain't got hit at all, and that ear shot wasn't real. I don't care what nobody say. The ear shot wasn't real because if you look at his ear, everything is still intact. You can't grow an ear back, and you can't make an ear. If you lose a piece of your ear, you can't make that look perfect again. There ain't a plastic surgeon in this country that can make that look perfect again. I mean, well, it ain't like it was perfect from the beginning, but you know what I'm saying, fam. They can't make it look like nothing ever happened to it. So I'm not buying it. I don't believe that part. I think it was staged. I think it was staged. I think this is fake news. Fake news. I think it's fake news. How you gonna miss that many times, fam? I think this was staged. Again, how do you miss that many times? I don't think you missed that many times. A person who's unhinged enough or determined enough, I ain't gonna even say unhinged, just determined enough to want to shoot the president of the United States is going to hit his mark. Because that is a person that has resolved to saying, I don't care if I get shot. I don't care if they kill me. I don't care if I go to jail for the rest of my life. I am going to get him. You know, a determined mind is the hardest thing in the world to stop. If a person just make their mind up, they don't care if they go to jail, they don't care what happens to them, they don't care if they get shot up 100 times, as long as they hit their target, they don't care. Man, that's hard to stop. That is extremely hard to stop. So I don't believe all of these, I don't believe these was all attempts. You know, I think every last one of them was fake. I think every last one of those attempts, so-called attempts, was fake. And the latest one, I do believe, was faked to get our minds off the Epstein files, but also take our minds off Iran and the L's that America continues to take on a daily basis. Try to get people to stop talking about ending the war, trying to get our minds on something else. That's what I think is going on. I don't trust none of it. I don't trust none of it. I don't trust none of them. See what else is going on out here in these streets. Let's see. Let's see. I don't want to do that. Shots fired as Donald Trump attends White House Correspondents Dinner. Shots fired. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do it like this. Where does it go?
Details are coming out. A block from the White House, there were, and I'm just kind of going through the news wires as we are live on air here, Hal, because there's just little pieces of new information that are coming out. Some in the crowd were reporting that they heard 5 to 8 shots fired. Of course, during moments like this, there is confusion. And a lot of time, it takes time, and it takes time and clarity for us to fully get a grasp of what exactly happened here. Talk to us about the level of security that's present at an event like this to begin with. So many high-profile figures in attendance.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you're going to have a perimeter security that goes out. This is at the Hilton in Washington, D.C. So they're basically going to contain, they're going to lock down the site. They're going to build multiple layers. Of course, as you get into the room itself, that's where you'll see the most stringent security. But you'll have everything from the outer perimeter with active patrols and basically telling people to go the other way, moving traffic into different directions, blocking certain lanes of traffic, things along that line until you get into the inside where they're actually, as they get closer and closer, they will be checking people through magnetometers to make sure they don't have anything on them. They'll be checking everybody who works there. They'll be checking everything that goes in and out. There's security in the kitchen, security everywhere, security in the entire building, because they have to be sure of what's above the building, beside the building, everything else. So it's a very safe environment, generally speaking. But then again,
now I find it interesting that they are going to continue this White House Correspondents Dinner. If you can see, you see what they're doing right now. Those guys are jumping over. This looks like immediately after the shots were fired. If you can see up there on the stage, you'll see that the security is locked and loaded up there. Now, the question is, fam, how did somebody get inside of that building with the gun in the first place? This is supposed to be top security. This is supposed to be the best security ever. This is what the president of the United States is supposed to be stepping into. This ain't like a good president either. This is like a bad one. This is somebody that a lot of people don't like. A lot of people don't like this dude. So you would think that they would have done a sweep of all sweeps to make sure that they didn't have somebody in there with a pistol that's not supposed to be in there. So how did it get in? So there's Trump already leaving a message on his failed Truth Social network. Quite an evening in D.C., Secret Service and law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended, and I have recommended that we let the show go on, but will entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make a decision shortly. Regardless of that decision, the evening will be much different than planned, and we'll just plain have to do it again. Okay, so we'll just plain have to do it again. So first he said that the show would go on, and now he's talking about we'd have to do it again. So what's it going to be? Then he talked about the shooter being apprehended, but I heard reports that the shooter was dead. So I'm getting conflicted stories. I'm getting conflicting stories. Well, everybody in there trying to have a drink right about now. Let's see what Buddy's.
Those routes, this has all been highly choreographed in case something like this happens. And so they know exactly what they're doing and where they're going to go. And they put that plan into action immediately to make sure that the president and others were out of harm's way. Then, of course, for the room itself, there's a lot of security. Every doorway, near the windows, any place else, there would be a lot of security there. And what you would find is they'd basically lock down the room and then usually they'd provide some guidance to people, like, please get down on your tables, depending on the nature of the threat. And it doesn't sound like the threat was immediately present at the doorway or anywhere around the room, but it does sound, and that's actually some very good information there, a shooter. Okay, that tells you a shooter, which kind of puts it into a different category. You start looking at possible what we call lone wolves that may have just gone out there and decided they were going to fire maybe in the general direction of the White House or general direction of the Correspondents' Dinner or something like that from maybe an outer perimeter position or something. We will find out more about that. But the fact that there was one shooter does kind of change it. If you see multiple shooters, well, if you see more than one, then technically it's a conspiracy. But if you only see one, it could just be one person. So anyway, that's kind of what they're going through right now. And now the decision has to be made. Do you want to continue with the dinner? Has it been disrupted to a point where it's impossible to go with the dinner tonight? And that's and I have to say that in my various duties, I have been involved with some of these high-profile events where you're coordinating dinners and stuff like that. And when things happen, you also have contingency plans for what you're going to do.
Yeah, man, but you don't continue a dinner that the president is at and there's an attempt on his life. You got an attempted assassination and you just gonna go along with the dinner like ain't nothing really happened. And you got Trump all kicking it laid back, posting on social media already after he got another attempt on his life. And he's talking about just going along. Man, get out of here. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. I do not trust it. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I think there's something else is going on here. There's something else going on. That makes no sense to me. Looks like fake news to me. I'll show you guys again the immediate aftermath. Let me show y'all the immediate aftermath. Let's see. Do that like that. Boom.
Would be because of the recoil from the rounds might be such that the shooter couldn't get off more shots than that. So that would be the only thing I can really, at this point, that's all I can tell you. Obviously, that you hear the shot, that they heard the shot so clearly tells you it wasn't a suppressed weapon or a weapon using what is commonly called a silencer or something like that, which is an option and actually more readily available these days. To people for a variety of reasons. But they heard the shot. So it sounds like it wasn't, unsuppressed, probably a handgun, but we will find out more. That's just pure, at this point, that's just speculating on the very, very, very little information that we have so far.
What are your big questions about this situation, Hal, in the early stages of an investigation like this?
Well, I would say part of it goes to, from an intelligence standpoint, I can certainly tell you the Secret Service and the FBI are going to try and ascertain as quickly as possible who is this individual, what is he connected to, what was his motivation, and that tells me if maybe he's tied to a larger group, maybe he's tied to an international terrorist group, maybe he's tied to nefarious foreign actors like Al-Quds or Hezbollah or something, or ISIS or something like that, or if this is just somebody who may be, mentally disturbed that has their own motivation. And that certainly with would-be presidential assassins, we have seen a number of people who are mentally unbalanced that are pursuing their own agenda for why they want to go after the president or go after other high-profile individuals. So that's very possible. But they want to know that, because if he's connected to a group, a threat organization, then that kind of changes the whole picture of what's going on. And then, of course, they're going to be figuring out, was this maybe something, and this is always a question, is you hear shots from one place, was that intended to drive you to another place? Are they actually trying to get you to go someplace where they've actually set up an actual ambush? And these are all the considerations that that Secret Service and others in this business have to make every single time, which is sometimes it's simply a deception to get you to do something, to take your principal somewhere where they actually, you could potentially take them into harm's way. So these are all things that are running through their minds very quickly, consistently, or simultaneously many times, and they're trying to figure that out. So that it may be that the safest place to keep him is where he's at right now.
I have to note that they just removed the presidential seal from the podium. Could be indicative of the fact that maybe the president won't be returning tonight. Maybe we won't see this event carry on in the same capacity that we expected. Again, no official announcement yet, but time will tell once we learn more. Hal is a retired Marine intelligence officer. And Hal, you brought up intelligence a moment ago. How much of this becomes an intelligence question, not just a law enforcement question?
Oh, it is an intelligence question. I would say, and law enforcement will disagree with me, but I think I would say first and foremost, but law enforcement say, nope. It is really a blend. I mean, part of it is you have the enforcement, the security. It's a security question. And this is what the Secret Service does all the time. They're constantly assessing threats. They're running down threats. They're looking at various threat individuals, threat groups, things like that. That's something that they do all the time to try and figure this out. It's a larger intelligence question, because you're looking at a potential, when it's dealing with the president, vice president, and some of the others in the room, it's a potential threat to national security. You're talking about key decision makers, continuity of government issues when you're dealing with the president, vice president, and some others. So in that regard, it's a national security issue, and it involves much more than just the immediate tactical situation that's there. You're looking at other things. For example, would this be something that a nation state, a foreign actor, or groups like ISIS, Hezbollah, others would do for a larger purpose?
Family. I was looking for the black people. I'm like, man, where are the black people in the audience? Like, where are the black people? Where are the black correspondents? This is Correspondents Dinner. Where are the black reporters? That's what I need to know. I need to know that. Where are the black reporters? Where are the black news reporters? Where are the black journalists?
Tweet. My apologies, his post on Truth Social. And law enforcement has requested that we leave the premises consistent with protocol. And he wanted to emphasize that nobody was hurt. He and the First Lady, the cabinet, everybody's safe. The president will be having a press briefing at the White House in 30 minutes. That is not a joke.
Yeah, you see that, man?
And he insists that we will reschedule this event in the next 30 days. And that he wanted to do it tonight. He wanted to continue despite the news, but has to follow security protocol. I said earlier tonight that journalism is a public service because when there is an emergency, we run to the crisis, not away from it. And on a night when we are thinking about the freedoms in the First Amendment, we must also think about how fragile they are. I saw all of you reporting, and that's what we do. So, thank God everybody is safe. And thank you for coming together tonight. We will do this again. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, fam. Okay, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna shut this one down and I'll come back in 30 minutes or so and we'll see what old Trump is talking about. I think they had to change his diaper or something like that. So they said it's gonna take about 30 minutes to change his diaper because this was a big one. In the meantime, in the between time, fam, let's keep the chat open, but I'll be back in about 30 minutes and we'll see what he's talking about. All right, in a minute.